Well, in today's meeting, we will discuss t-test. There are two types of t-test. The first is independent sample t-test, and the second was a pep sample t-test. First, independent sample t-test. We use independent sample t-test when we want to compare the mean score of two different group of people. For example, you want to compare between male and female in their speaking ability. You do research and you want to know whether male or female has higher speaking ability, has higher writing ability. Because you have two different groups, that is male and female. So you use independent sample t-test. Or if you want to compare between students from urban and rural area in terms of their speaking ability, and then you use independent sample t-test. Now, let's see the example here. We have two examples of research question. That is there any significant difference in the mean score, in the mean self-esteem score between male and female student? So in this case, there are two groups. The first is male student and then female student. And then we want to compare whether male and female students differ in their self-esteem score. And then the other example is do high achievers differ from low achievers in their motivational engagement? In this research question, we have two different groups of students. The first is high achievers and low achievers. Because we have two different groups. So for t-test, we only have two groups. And then we want to see if the two different groups differ in their motivational engagement. So from these two research questions, we can see that there are two types of variables. The first is independent variable, that is the grouping, the male and female or low and high achievers. So in this case, the independent variable is categorical variable, male and female. So that is what we call gender. And then we want to see if gender has an effect on self-esteem of the student. And then the second variable is dependent variable. In this example, is self-esteem and motivational engagement. And the dependent variable is a continuous variable. It should be in terms of score. Dependent variable, it should be continuous. Okay, after we know what kind of research question which should be addressed using independent sample t-test, then what we can do now is to run the independent sample t-test. Very simple statistics. Simply follow the steps of the procedure, and then you will get the result. Okay. Now I will show you how to run independent sample t-test. Okay, let's say you already have the data sets. Simply, for example, with this data, I want to, my research question is there any significant difference in job satisfaction between male and female teachers? We have two groups, that is male and female teachers, and then we have one continuous dependent variable, that is job satisfaction. Okay, now click analyze and then click compare means. Look, compare means, and then independent sample t-test. So gender, move gender variable to grouping variable, and then click define. Just write 1 for male, 2 for female. continue. And then move the continuous dependent variable. In this case, is job satisfaction. Two variables. Okay, done. Click OK. Now we got the result. The SPSS output. Gender, male, the number of participants is 97, female is 229, and then the mean score 3.75, and then female is 3.62. After that, what we need to check is the result of this one, the Levin's test. Levin's test is we have to check the assumption of homogeneity of variance through Levin's test. So we have to see here the significant value. In this case, the significant value is 0.281. What we expect is the significant value is greater than 0.05. This is what we expect. It should be 0.05. And because this one is 2.29, so it is greater than 0.05. That's why we can say that the assumption of homogeneity of variance is okay. So because the assumption is fulfilled, we use the data in the first row, this one, the first row. But don't worry, SPSS is very good because even though this is kind of assumption, homogeneity of variance is not assumed, you still can go on by using the data from the second row. So if the homogeneity of the Levin's test, significance of Levin's test is greater than 0.05, so you use the second row data. But because in this case, the significant value is greater than 0.05, so we use the second row. After that, we take the data, check the data from t value and the degree of freedom. This is the number of participants minus 2, and then significant value. What we expect here is less than the p-value or significant value is less than 0.05, less than 0.05. Look, in this case is 0.039, so less than 0.05, because the significant value or p-value is less than 0.05, we can say that there is a significant difference statistically between male and female in their job satisfaction. And then which one has higher job satisfaction, male or female teachers? We have to check the mean score here. You can see here, male teachers has higher mean score, 3.75, while female 3.6. Means that male teachers had higher job satisfaction than female teachers. Okay. And then after that, we have to report the effect size. Okay. Okay, check the assumption done and the assessing between. Okay, this is how we make a report. Okay, look at the example of making a report for using APA. Let's say there was a significant difference in the score for male and female teachers. Look, right means report mean and standard deviation. Simply take from the SPSS output mean and standard deviation. Mean standard deviation for the two group, male and female. And then after that, you write the value of T value. T value 2.87, 89. And then degree of freedom, DF, is 8. After that, the p-value, just write p-value here. So this is the way you write the statistic, the data from the SPSS output. SPSS only provide the data of mean score, standard deviation, T, degree of freedom, and significant value. It doesn't provide the data of effect size. That's why we have to calculate ourselves manually, because without the effect size, what we can say is only yes, there is a significant difference between male and female teachers in their job satisfaction. But how big is the difference? How big is the difference? We can say this unless we provide the score of effect size. So we have to calculate. This formula is quite simple. Square t divided by square t plus n1 and n2 minus 2. n1 and n2. n1 is the first group and the number of the first group, and n2 is the second group. Let's say n1 is the number of the male teachers, n2 is the number of female teachers, minus 2, because there are two groups here, male and female. And then t, look, this one is t value, 2.887, t value. So square 2, square t. Okay, this is the example. 2.887 square. And then divided by square 2.887 plus n1, n2. Okay, this is the result of square 2.887, 8.335. And then n1, n2, let's say the number of participants are 30 for each group, 30, 30, 30 male, 30 female, and then minus 2. After that, you add up to 8.88, 8.335 plus 58. 58 is the number of the participant minus 2. And then 8.335 divided by 66. 66 is 8.335 plus 58. And then the result is 0.126. 0.126 is the effect size. Now, we will check how big is the effect size. Okay, if it is 1.01, it's small one. If it's greater than 0.06, it is moderate effect. And then if it's greater than 0.14, it's a large effect. So you can see in this case, 0.12. We have to check this. It's right or wrong. A 335 divided by 99 plus 335. Oh, sorry. 8.335 divided by 0.12. 0.12. 0.12. So it has moderate effect because it is still below 114. Below 14. So we can say that it has a kind of moderate effect, that the gender has moderate effect on the student, on the teachers' job satisfaction. Okay, now we look at another way of making a report. This is taken from my own project. The data is, I report 3 independent sample t-tests only with 1 paragraph, very brief, because this is in a journal article. The collected data reveals significant differences in two variables: gender, t-value, degree of freedom 359, and then the t-value is 1.9, and then the p-value, it is less than 0.05, or the p equal 0.05, effect size 0.1, small one, and school location, t-value, degree of freedom, and then p-value, effect size is 0.1. It is moderate. And then the male group, it means standard deviation, you report it, scored higher than female group. While urban school students obtain higher score than suburban institution, you report the mean and standard deviation. But there was no significant differences between state school and private school. You report t-test, degree of freedom, you report t-value, degree of freedom, p-value, effect size, and then the mean score as well. So 3 independent sample t-tests reported within 1 paragraph, very brief. I also provide another example, also from my own project. This one a bit long, yeah, so you can adapt from this. You can learn from this. The first independent sample t-test was conducted to compare the language proficiency as a function of self-efficacy in learning English. The second independent sample t-test, because there are 2 independent sample t-tests, revealed the combined score of English self-efficacy and self-regulated learning efficacy. The score of language ability obtained in the YLE test between high self-efficacy students, mean standard deviation you reported, and the low self-efficacy student you report between 2 groups. The first is high self-efficacy student. The second group is low self-efficacy student. You report the mean score between the 2 groups as well as standard deviation, and the t-value 514. The t-value, this is the degree of freedom, and then the t-value is -10, and the p-value is 0.000. It means there is significant difference. And then there is another one. When analyzed separated t-test indicated that language proficiency with the higher of English self-efficacy differs significantly from the with the lower self-efficacy. The mean score of the proficiency student with high and low and self-efficacy was also significantly different. And then in the last sentence, we provide a kind of what we call a closing and then interpretation. This finding suggests that students who saw themselves as more confident with self-regulated learning and their ability to complete specific English tasks were more likely to outperform those students who doubted their ability in both self-regulated learning and English. It's a closing sentence. Okay. Now, I hope that you understand my explanation how to run independent sample t-test. Now we move to the second type of t-test, that is paired sample t-test. Paired sample t-test is also very frequently used, especially when you do experimental research. In experimental research, you have 2 data, pre-test, post-test. This is very common. You compare between pre-test and post-test of the student taken from the same group. So when you want to test significant difference, to check whether there is significant difference between 2 different scores of taken from 2 different occasions, pre-test and post-test, from the same group of participants or from the same group of students. Let's say I do an experiment in your class, and then I give you pre-test, I give you post-test, and then what I have to use as my statistical analysis technique is paired sample t-test. For example, there is a question here. Is there a significant change in student willingness to speak score following participation in intervention designed to increase their self-efficacy? So in this case, we have two scores, that is pre-test and post-test of the student willingness to speak. And then we give an intervention, a treatment, an experiment to increase the student's self-efficacy. So from this example, we have two types of variable. The first is categorical independent variable. Categorical independent variable, this in this case is the intervention. And then we have continuous dependent variable measured on two different occasions. That is willingness to communicate score. So, and it should be continuous. We have pre-test, willingness to speak score pre-test, and then the post-test of willingness to speak score. Okay, after we know what type of research question we can address using type sample t-test, and then we start running t-test, type sample t-test. For example, the example of WTC, willingness to communicate, willingness to speak between pre-test and post-test. Okay, click analyze and then compare means, the same, compare means, and then path sample t-test. Okay, I have to put the pre-test, post-test into the variable box. Okay, pre-test, and then post-test. Done. Okay, done. Okay, we got the result already. Now, check the result. The mean score, 318 for pre-test and then 322 for post-test. There is slightly different between pre-test and post-test. There is an increase from pre-test and post-test. From the same number of participants, 326 both. The number of the participants in pre-test and post-test should be the same. If there is one participant, they took part in pre-test and they didn't in the post-test, and then you have to drop the participant. Okay. And then now we check the result here. The t-value, degree of freedom, and significant difference. This is the data we need to report. Degree of freedom, t-test, and significant value. The significant value here is 0.015. So it is less than 0.05. Because it is less than 0.05, we can say that there is a significant difference in student pre-test and post-test score. And then which one is greater, pre-test or post-test? Of course, we have to check from the mean score here. Look at the mean score. The pre-test is 3.3, 3.1, and then post-test is 3.2. It means that there is an improvement, there is an increase from pre-test to post-test, so that we can say that there is a significant improvement of students' willingness to speak in English following the intervention, following the treatment. So we can say that the treatment is effective in improving the student willingness to speak. Okay. That's the way we interpret the SPSS output. And then, because the SPSS, I have said before, SPSS doesn't provide the data of effect size. So we have to calculate manually, like what we did with the independent sample t-test. The formula is simpler, sigma squared t, and the square t divided by square t divided by square t plus n, because there is only one group, not male and female, rural and urban, but same group, only one group of students, and then minus one, only minus one. Let's say this is one. The example. Okay, okay, this one. This is the number of participants, only 3. Okay, 29. So the result will be 8.335 plus 29. This one should be 7. Okay. So 8.335 divided by 7.335. So the result will be okay, 223. Okay. Look at whether it has a big effect or not. Check this. If it is greater than 0.14, then it has a large effect. Now we can see it here. So there is a large effect of the treatment on the students' willingness to speak. So this is the way we run pap sample tests, as well as how to make a report. How to make a report is quite similar between pap sample test and independent sample test. Okay. I hope from my brief explanation about how to run the test and what kind of research question which we can address using pap sample test as well as independent sample test. And when we got the SPSS output, we know how to interpret the statistic. After that, we know how to make a simple report of the result of the independent sample test and pap sample test. I hope you can understand this. If you still do not understand, and then you can ask a question in our WhatsApp group. Thank you very much and see you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.